11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
And welcome everybody to our Wednesday episode of our Daily Gun Show. And we go live on Wednesdays to take a look at Instagram. So Instagram is one of the social media platforms out there, one that's heavily focused on the image channel, actually probably is equally focused on images as it is short videos. And the people that use Instagram have changed over the years. You know, there have always been different people that use the other platforms. The platforms that have done writing, or those are long format videos, podcasting, or live like this one. Sounds like I'm having bad internet. Somebody's about to stretch. Or not, I guess. So we go live on Wednesdays to take a look at that stuff on Instagram and drag it over here to YouTube for the people that don't follow both platforms, and also to our some of these things that are happening there are important and valid and of value. So part of our goal is to document the stuff and bring it over here to YouTube. And when we post it on YouTube as a live stream like this, it gets reposted as a podcast. It gets reposted as a blog post. It gets reposted on websites. And in that way, we're attempting to share these important messages and events, and archive some of the things that people are scrapbooking, documenting on Instagram. So there's produced content, there's snapshots, there's the stuff that's impromptu, or just the consequence of people sharing their lives. Trying to get some light on the puppy over here. I'm gonna try putting on a ring light. Does that help? Give him a little bit more light over there. So we're going to dig into it. On the screen here, we're looking at the main Instagram page. It's kind of small, so we're going to zoom in on it a little bit. Just scrolling through some of the posts. You can see the kind of stuff that I follow. A bunch of people hunting, I guess, right now. So we're going to dig into our page, which we'll find. I have to zoom out a little bit. We'll find our page. And everybody can do this. Everybody's able to save posts, both yours and other people's, in your Instagram as saved folders, and that's what we're going to take a look at. You can have as many saved folders as you want, or at least I haven't found a maximum. Each one of these is a different one. This one is gun shops. This one is future live chat topics. This one is just for Uzis. There's one just for Kalashnikovs from the tactical quiz. So you get the idea. You can have them in any topic you want. Here's our Red Dawn one. So going back up, this is our kind of most recent one. That's what we're going to be taking a look at. And I open that up, and this is mostly, it is other people's posts. And it's stuff that we're going to take a look at about the last week of other people's posts. Stuff when I go on Instagram, I'll tag stuff knowing that we're going to chat about it on Wednesday, and that's what we're looking at here. So now let's go take a look at the calendar. So last week would have been the 1st of November. Well, that's pretty much when Crump's book came out, so it's probably somewhere right around here. I think I remember talking about this one, so we'll start there. Pets for Vets is a pretty cool page to follow over there. They match pets with veterans, and they just have a fun page. So this one is the cat world, where the vacuums and spray bottles are the horrible creatures. Got weird noises happening here. Let's see if we can figure out what some of these weird noises are. Then we got our friends up in Phoenix, the Wilderness Tactical, and that's a shop that's been making nylon gear, accessories, clothing, stuff for concealed carry, for sports, for jobs that require not military, firearms, accessories, so security, military, law enforcement, that kind of thing. And it's a small company, but everything's made in Phoenix, and they've been along doing great stuff for a long time. And this is one of their new things, a shirt with kind of a cactus pattern on it. Barrel cactus, that's why I couldn't think of it last time. So it's got some agaves, it's got some barrels, it's got some prickly pears or opuntia, and then whatever this thing is, some kind of plant. It's not really a cactus. So then John Crump came out with a book on November 1st, if I can get it here without spilling everything all over everywhere. I've got stacks of stuff around. Masters of Firepower is the name of the book, and you can get books for $20. Where's my mouse? Get one of these books for $20. I'm showing it on the screen now. Essentially got a Glock sitting there on top, random M, 22 mag, and some 40, and then 22, and Glock on the cover there. This is the story of 20 firearms. There's life stories. They're not so like the story that led them to the firearms, not necessarily about the firearms. And you can see the puppy has sniffed it, and it is approved. It's been puppy sniffed, so not a lot of books have had that authoritative analysis, but this one has. And according to the puppy, he's now done sniffing it, so it is sniff approved. That was a positive sniff. You get that for $20 for a little bit less because I had like $3 in Amazon credit. You get that stuff, I think. Firearm. Let's see, is it facilities and administer some features. Emergency response so faster is a product of Ohio that is spread to a couple of different states, a bunch of different states, and they offer a curriculum and instruction for the facilities, the people who work at schools, not just the teachers, but anybody that works at a school, from the janitors to the bus drivers to the teachers and the principals and all the people in the offices, so that if there's an emergency of almost any type, they're more capable and experienced with what procedures and what to do. And it's a third-party organization. It's not a government-funded thing. And they've been having a lot of success. So they do a newsletter each month, and there's many newsletters. And at the beginning and end of the month, usually when we'll get the reminders to join the newsletters and that kind of thing. So I'm going to post a couple of those, I think, this week. And I just try to let people know, hey, there are multiple ways to get information. And a newsletter is typically an email that goes to your, electronically to your email. So it's like at your leisure. When you're in the mood to check your emails, you're checking it. That at a certain time of the month, you're going to get emails from certain organizations with updates or alerts. And, that can help with your planning to make your planning more possible instead of it just being chaotic and, at the whim of what the social media news feed decides to tell you, what they decide is important or what they're desperate enough to resort to usually. Unapologetically Armed is out there. Good afternoon. Welcome. It's a good opportunity for me to say thanks to the people that are joining us live. We do this live. I like live stuff. I don't script anything, and I'm not super fancy, so we just do it live with minimal equipment. I've got my little baby co-host with me, little puppy co-host who joins me for the show. And everybody who joins us live is more than welcome to participate as we're chatting here. But again, this is most of our audience is podcast. Most of the audience is listening to this in the future. So if you're out there listening to this in the future, you're still part of the show. All you got to do is leave a comment. Definitely leave us a thumb up, a like, a heart, or whatever it is over there on whatever platform you're on. because this gets distributed to pretty much all of them. And we appreciate the feedback, but then again, you're part of the show. So if you leave us a comment or something, chances are we have the ability to, well, we do have the ability to address that, the next show. So it might not be immediate as far as timeline, but you're definitely in the timeline for these shows. And again, thanks to Unapologetic Arm for joining us live and saying, hey, I'm doing this at a weird time today, technically, because one, I don't change my clocks. I'm in Arizona where we don't do any of that stuff. But since the rest of the world changes around us, it's pretty weird. You wouldn't understand if you didn't live here. So I'm trying to figure out when everything happens for the rest of the world now. And I always forget which side it shifts to, if it shifts earlier or later. So everything for me is later, I think. And also, Cape Gunworks isn't doing their show today. So I stayed. I didn't start on time or when we normally would, because one, I don't know when that is anymore, but also because I was watching something. Toby was over there talking about what he's doing tomorrow. So, spoiler alert, Cape Gunworks doesn't have their show today. We usually are the opening act for Rapid Fire Radio. It'll happen tomorrow instead. All right, so after the faster newsletter, we've got Colion Noir talking about the well, what are we calling these things? Well, I'll let them talk about it. What's going on? I don't have my audio on, so...
Left them in your vehicle. Please keep our atmosphere family friendly. Those were the words posted on a sign on the front entrance.
So, I'm not saying this is the best or worst. I don't know. They're not going to get through to people who are traumatized by the item, who are satisfied with being upset about the tool. And there's going to be different approaches and different reactions. I'm hoping that people that are watching this, I know the people that are watching this are advanced. You're not somebody who's just coming into Second Amendment advocacy watching this show. Pay attention to people's reactions over time and who has the same reaction over time, who panders to the base reaction over time, and then who's evolving the message, who's paying attention to other people's messages, and who's evolving the conversation rather than who's pandering to the base reactions every time something like this happens. We can't accuse the other side of exploiting these situations when we don't challenge the people who exploit it on our side. There are people exploiting it on our side. And if we do nothing, then we're just allowing them to continue to do so. And they profit from it pretty heavily. Oh, I think I made fun of the Marines last time. This is what you spend your money on. This is what Marines do all day. Every single day, this is what Marines do. That's what Marines do every single day. Given that possession of a firearm, okay, this was Stephen Holbrook posting something. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to read all that. I don't know why I saved it. Tony's trying to copyright me. So Tony does a Firearms Insider show, one of the podcasts that he's a part of. And they're going to be talking about all these guns. So I don't really pay attention to all this stuff, but Tony does. And Chad, I guess. I've never watched the show because all they talk about is guns and gear. But I want to promote it, let people know that that's one of the many podcasts that Tony Simon's on. We got a girl in a gun club. Did I talk about this one last week? It says 7 days ago, so I don't remember if we talked about it or not. But I thought this was pretty cool. This is a book signing for some guy and somewhere. And then these ladies showed up as part of Girl in a Gun Club to, help normalize guns. Guns are part of culture, and there's some ladies that are gun owners and shooters, and, they're here to gun or a book signing. It probably has nothing to do with guns, but way to normalize and then share. Doesn't take a fancy amount of effort. It just means getting the word out to other people who actually do stuff. Let's see. So, there's an audience of people out there all the time watching everything that goes on. Some of them are intent, some of them are casual, some of them are there all the time, camped out. Some of them are only going to show up once ever. That's a ton of people. You can try to appease all those people, but that's the sucker bet. There's people that are getting work done, the people that show up and do stuff. You want to catch those people's ear, so you got to talk, you got to say stuff. But, who are you chatting to? You chatting to that audience who just sits there listening, may or may not be around for a long time? Or are you chatting to those people out there that are getting work done? And some of this effort you put out there is for those individuals, and they're not going to necessarily pick it up just because you put it down. But luckily on the internet, we're allowed to put that stuff down, and it can be picked up at any time. Flippy, you're going to figure out which way you're going to be sitting or standing already. Second worst co-host I've ever had. I'm going to put on mute here and cough a bunch of times. I'll be right back. Oh my goodness. So, got more people joining in. Zane is out there. Gizzard is out there. Good morning. Good afternoon, wherever it is for you. Unapologetically Armed says, the Maine Women for Gun Rights state director has been very busy training new shooters the past 2 weeks. Even a young lady who was at one of the locations, and her friend. Oh, you mean there was somebody who was at the place where the guy from the murderer from Maine happened, I think is what you're saying. Interesting. It can be a small world. Let's see. Happy Thanksgiving. I thought this was neat. Gizzard is out there. He knows what I'm talking about. I think I saw this stuff last week. Almost positive we've seen this stuff last week. So this is Combat Story, one of the podcasts I listen to. They started podcasting in their own studio. I imagine it's, either at their place or somewhere nearby. And they had the first interview, a two-parter with a Marine sniper, and it was a super good interview. Very good interview. Two-parter, so quite a few, maybe 3 hours or something. It was quite a few hours. NSSF is partnering with the Wild Turkey Foundation for Child Safe. All right, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Child Safe. Then we get M&P Guns. This was them doing a 1-minute review of a gun.
Another minute and under unboxing today at CCY DBG 1. Now, I'm going to be completely honest.
So, anybody can do what they want, but I think it's neat as far as opinions and stuff, but I think it's neat to do a 1-minute review like this for the Instagrams. Pretty good. This is a gun shop in Phoenix that supports the 2A rallies here in Arizona. So I wanted to give a shout out to, I follow the channel, but it's just neat when I see gun shops doing interesting stuff. There's quite a bit of editing here. This is quite a bit of effort for a little 1-minute video. It's definitely understanding the way people are consuming the internet and putting something worth consuming in front of those folks. What are you snorting for, buddy? Quit snorting all the time over here. Then we got the National Cowboy Museum. This was some pictures that they were saying that they did. The people that made the movie Flower Moon. Wait, what's it called? Killers of the Flower Moon. They did research by going to the Cowboy Museum. The movie looks okay, I guess. It's like a period, there's everything's accurate to the period, kind of. But I didn't like the movie. It was super boring. So then we get NRA already talking about they already talked about all this last week, I think. They talked about their Great American Outdoor Show, trying to promote stuff that's happening after SHOT Show. I mean, some ways you could say, well, that's pretty much a weird move to do that way before SHOT Show even, but at the same time, why not? SHOT Show's just sitting there doing nothing, so NRA is actually doing something here. So Great American Outdoor Show has been going on for a long time in Pennsylvania, and it's kind of like their state fair / invite the whole country anyway. And there's quite a bit of gun stuff there, but it's not only gun stuff. I haven't been to it yet, and I've seen some coverage of it, but since it's such a long event, nobody really attempts to cover it. People visit it, and sometimes you get some coverage. So, interesting. Sort of like a echo to SHOT Show. And in the industry, it's interesting to listen to people who either have to or have to decide if they're either going to go to both events, they have to, or they decide which ones they're going to or which ones their company sends them to. Armed Atlas had Maj on the other day, and it was supposed to only be 15 minutes on YouTube, but he did the whole hour or something on YouTube. It was a pretty good conversation. This is Guns for Everyone. It says 2 pictures apart. This one is in Guadalajara, and then that one's a year ago. So size of the classes in Mexico have pretty much stayed the same. I think we counted these last week, that they're the same amount of people. This is a guy from the U.S. Army shooting team, winning silver in Santiago. Hey, look at this. Unapologetically Arms, posting a screenshot from a video. It says, screenshot from the moment I'm trying to keep it together after just hearing my name mentioned in glowing 2A advocating terms by my district representative, Eric something or another, and Women's for Gun Rights founder, Di Mueller, pulled me from my spot among the ranks and gave me a gentle atta-girl shove to go stand by him out in front of the cameras. Oh, I see what you're saying. So Diana said, hey, go stand by that guy. She says, I'm a proud 2A advocate, not doing it for any attention, and certainly never expected a moment like this to ever happen. Just wanted other ladies to see the importance of speaking up for the rights we depend upon before we lose the ability to protect ourselves, however we choose appropriate. Right on. And yeah, that's, a chunk of advocacy is doing stuff that's uncomfortable or annoying or, uncomfortable, right? Like you're not looking for this. People that are looking for it are certainly not standing next to a politician. They're standing next to bullshit exploitational crap, right? They're standing next to exploding stuff or somebody's fart joke or big boobs or whatever. So, the people that are doing it are going to end up having to do stuff that, often end up doing stuff that they didn't intend to. So thanks for that. And thanks for posting it. As much as the message, the how-to, I feel is vital. Again, the people that just want to show you what's going on, just want you to sit the fuck down, listen, and spend. That's all they want you to do. They're only going to show you the icing on top. They're going to show you the cake when it's finished, and that's it. Now move on and wait for our next cake. The people that show you how it's made, the people that show you how you can make your own cake, that value your, addition to recipes or your cake when it's made, and are willing to help you out if you have some issue with your cake so that you become another baker. That's what we're talking about here. This is pretty good. So I wish I could zoom this in. I don't think I can play it because it's copyright. Essentially, jerk over here starts fighting with this guy. This guy takes off his jacket, and then like 8 dogs wail on this guy. Like that one dog bites the shit out of him. So let's watch that one more time. This guy's taking his coat off because this guy's trying to be a dick. And then he barely gets his coat off, and these dogs are like, no, we got this. And then this yellow dog bites the shit out of him. It's pretty good. Also, one of them black dogs bites him. And then as soon as he's, a distance away, they go back to just living their lives. But that's a pretty cool video. This is a prison lighter. You take a playing card and you fold it all up in an origami type of way to make a little container. You put some something like a razor blade or a piece of chewing gum metal or something down at the bottom, and then you jam in 2 batteries, one way and one, and then when you put the lid there with the wire from like a baggie twist tie thing, the wire, and you make a little loop, and then when you complete the circuit from the bottom and the 2 batteries up that wire, and then you can light your gas. So video prison lighter. Think outside the box. Don't be sitting around idle when you could be figuring out clever ways to accomplish stuff that you need. All right, so and every time we write off people from jail, we're wasting our time because those people have spent a lot of time thinking about how to get things done. So write off people who've been in jail and it's not probably a good idea. So what is the tax on the firearm transfer of an NFA firearm? This is from Firearms Policy, or Firearms Policy Coalition. Says, I guess Biden says, junk fees take real money out of the pockets of Americans, and they add up to hundreds of dollars, weighing down family budgets and making it harder to pay the blah, blah, blah. So he's complaining about junk fees, I guess. And then they're showing him the ATF transfer tax, which is essentially a massive junk fee. Show it to them too much, they're going to figure out that it's proportionally not as bad as it was when it was first started as a punitive measure, financially punitive measure. But in any case, maybe it resolves the membership to remove the NFA. Wouldn't that be nice? Policy is saying, why don't we remove these junk fees? Yeah, exactly. Come on, Snorty. What are you doing over here? Let's see. Zane is saying puppy. So let's give this puppy a treat over here. I like to give him 100% gizzard treats, at least until this bag runs out, and then it'll be something else. But right now, he's eating 100% gizzard bits. Made out of 100% gizzard. All right, so next one up. I don't have to really, I can spend all day doing this today because Cape Gunworks ain't live today. This is from the second, which is Every Second Matters, an awareness campaign that was started back in 2013 by maybe a couple of dozen people who would get together on the regular, almost nightly, chatting about Second Amendment issues at the end of 2013. At the beginning of 2013 is when Obama proclaimed his 23 executive actions against gun owners and guns. And, you know, every once in a while on a Friday evening, we'd get a little black eye, we'd get a little jab. And he was exploring what was possible with the, what was popular, what was possible with policy, and what he was legally able to do as a president with executive actions. And, you know, there's probably a lot to that, but essentially Every Second Matters part of it was people saw that just resistance to that suggestion was enough to solidify resistance to them, to every single one of those executive actions that came out. And in effect, they realized that that wasn't a strategy up until recently. That hadn't been a strategy that they pursued. So there was a bit of, I don't know what to call it, like enthusiasm in the air, because people knew that his 23 executive actions, which at first were very challenging, that seemed like a really new and potentially, bad idea. And with after a year of experience, then people started to relax. They started to figure out, okay, that had no teeth and we've resisted it, so therefore let's go back to business as usual. And it was also a phenomenon of gun sales and tremendous growth in the industry based on that fear and the concern and the awareness of firearms with an emerging really fast internet. The internet had been around for a long time, so people knew what it was, but it was getting really fast. Phones were getting better, and people were using the internet so much more than they were. It was like the surge of people coming over to the internet just brought tons of interest in lots of things. And in the gun community, lots of interest anyway, and then the internet was there, so there was just a lot of focus on the guns at that time. And the platforms themselves had few rules, so there wasn't the censorship or the manipulation of the search. So people who were doing stuff that was of interest to other people were findable. You could find content. Or really the gun community flourishing, let's say, on the social platforms, life. It was just a good time. And those of us who were paying attention a lot, we still connected? What's going on? What's happening? Come on, puppy. Work on that internet connection. Those of us who were paying attention could see that there was a lack of something, like there was a beginning of apathy. And we had concern because those of us that had been around long enough and having these conversations on the regular, so we got past the polite conversations and we got past the the necessary conversations, and we got past the boring, and we were all friends with each other to the extent that we all had plenty of conversations. We were all super comfortable talking to each other, so we were able to get into the more important conversations. And we saw that there was this apathy. What could we do to do something? We knew what resources we had as people who use the internet. So we were a big group of people, but we weren't the largest or anything. We didn't have massive influence, but we knew that a voice can be heard, and that you can influence with a large enough voice. With repetition, you can interject important issues into a conversation or into a community, into an awareness in a segment of society. So how do you do that? You create awareness. How do you create awareness? Well, you do it persistently with, we decided to do it persistently with a focus on what the Second Amendment protects once a month, and not in any particular method or way. It was, you could do whatever you wanted and participate how you wanted, so that, your participation was up to you, and you could get out, you get out of it what you want. And then together we keep this voice going. And every second matters is what, 2000 All right. Is this any better? Are we getting audio again? Very bad internet. Barbecue sent me this microphone. He said it was good. I'm using Gizzard's internet. The co-pilot or the co-host here is supposed to be watching the internet signal on that computer over there. Okay, now we're back. Come on, man. I don't even know what kind of lag there is. Okay, now I got it. All right, thanks. So just as I figured it out, Gizzard says, hey, so thanks for that. All right, we'll go back to Sharon, screen Sharon, if you could come back. We'll bring back our assistant Sharon, screen Sharon, and now we'll get back over to here and let's start a poll. I know that a lot of times only the fancy shows do polls anymore. Not very many shows do polls. They don't think it's cool or whatever. They don't make enough money on it. So what was the best thing on IG last week? So we'll take 4 suggestions and then we'll put those in here. So the first people that are here live can participate in what's going to be in the poll. Go ahead and start participating or start suggesting. And then, like I say, we'll add those suggestions to the poll here. But now we're going to head back over to the Instagrams. I got to go grab my socials, drop down to the Instagram one. And then we jump back over to our saved stuff, jump back into our recently saved folder, and scroll back down. And like I say, we got all kinds of time today since Cape Gunworks. We normally do this show as a warm-up or a opening act to Cape Gunworks, but their show is postponed till tomorrow. So I'm not going to be here for a while. Go ahead and roll up your sleeves, get yourself a cup of coffee. So I was complaining about Every Second Matters, how great it is, how much where I got cut off there, but we're blaming the co-host for that, who, is to blame. It's his fault. He's just sitting here sleeping when he should be really monitoring the internet connection, pushing all the buttons and cranks on Gizzard's modem so he would stay connected.
Pound the largest gun bunny in America. Tonight, we have a diversity shoot at the Union Hill Gun Club. That's right. We're going to celebrate the second on the second. I hope to see you there, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to actually have Second Amendment advocacy organizations there to let you know what they're up to and how you can join the fight. We're going to introduce people to firearms and firearms safety. We're going to shoot some cool guns. We're going to eat some great pizza. And we're going to have a good time. I hope to see you there tonight, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Union Hill Gun Club in Monroe, New Jersey. Also, it's the second of the month. Use the second of every month to talk to people in your social circle about firearms and our right as Americans to own them. Hey, have a great day. Hopefully I'll see you tonight. DiversityShoot.com.
See how Tony snuck in the Every Second Matters suggestion there?
I'm Jim Craig, SoTech, and wanted to go over our new laser cut symbology patches. For about 15 years, we've made our symbology patches, and we've had them embroidered. Now, on our new laser cut systems, we're laser cutting a lot of our stuff. What was the concept behind these, the symbology? Well, originally, actually, I was sitting in the back of the military classroom doodling and drawing up a symbol for everybody on the battlefield. And as an MI class, and realized that symbology, they had the arrow, a simple arrow, was an automatic rifleman, and that's basically the battlefield operating system that's on the field. So you had a symbol for the rifleman, they had a symbol for the grenadier, they had a symbol for the machine gunners, but they didn't have a symbol for a medic. So a medical system on the battlefield. They didn't have one for breachers, so I made an arrow with a door on it. For EOD, I put an X crossing a fuse all in front of the arrow because ostensibly all of these operators would be armed. So I have a whole system of arrow symbology, which we trademark patented, that fits with the DoD map symbology. It's just that we're filling out the gaps where it's missing. Now, where does this come into the patch play? Is this just a cool morale patch? Is this to say, hey, I'm cool because I'm a medic? No. The concept here was we created...
So it gets cut off there, but they created these symbology patches so that you could have modular gear and have identifiers. So just wanted to post that. There's, people complain about the industrial military complex or whatever it is. Those are the people that hate Velcros and microwaves, I guess. So either that stuff came from aliens or it came from research and development. Most research and development is based on accomplishing some need or accomplishing some task easier or faster or better than before. Often development is created by or is pushed forward by people who are operating, people doing the tasks that require extra effort and ingenuity. So just kind of that, I thought that video did a great job. First introducing Esotech, which is a great company out of California, making specific gear for specific tasks and then offering that to the public. So really interesting, well-made, very compliant US-made gear, often made by veterans, literally sewed by veterans. But in this case, he's talking about creating this symbology section where on a typical big army playing field, they only care about certain things, but on a special operations board, you're going to have more specific, let's say, tasks or positions. And that's just something that was just never initiated by, the supply or whatever on the big army side. So this is something that, again, private industry comes in and fills gaps that may or may not be needed. And then this furthers development of tactics or abilities or, it's on the flip side, retail products. So some people just don't pay attention to this stuff, and then other people are using these platforms or you can use these platforms. It's possible to use these platforms to watch the innovation happen and see the innovation. You watch videos like this over time and you see how these and where these companies fit in the grand scheme of things. But I don't have the opinions I do because I got up one day and had, decided to have an opinion. After going to SHOT Show for years and seeing things and being in the industry and listening to people and watching relationships with companies come and go and their abilities come and go and their technologies develop. You can see the people who are really playing and the people who are sitting around copying. And again, it's interesting because there's other channels on Instagram that are probably way bigger than Esotech. Esotech's doing stuff. Access to Esotech has been cutting new ground since I've been paying attention to them, and they started out cutting new ground way before I was around. So since '97. So again, you can use these platforms to just sit back and watch the people that are making shows, or you can dig in and find your own stuff. There's no rules. You can follow who you want on these platforms. What if it comes from researching and developing alien software? Well, alien technology? Yeah, exactly. Who knows? But yeah, the people that are hanging out and guarding the aliens, you don't think they're learning from the aliens? Let's see. Cheryl Todd says, excited to share about Women for Gun Rights, formerly the DC Project, at the Arizona Free Enterprise Club. This was back a few days ago. Just like Tony's diversity shoot was on the 2nd of the month, so it was a while ago. But this is an event that was held up in Phoenix, the Arizona Free Enterprise Club. And again, there's people that act like they're going to do stuff. There's people that watch people act like they're going to do stuff. And then there's people that are out there just doing stuff. Cheryl Todd's one of those folks. She's out there, boots on the ground, not just chatting to the choir, but she's out there literally cutting new ground, going out and meeting with different groups and organizations as a representative of a free person who has an emphasis on firearms related rights. So she's taken her message to the Free Enterprise Club. Very cool. Or she had taken her message already. So then you get Walk Talk America, and they're getting mentioned in a newspaper. I thought I saw a thing where it said the name of the newspaper. But in any case, some kind of newspaper, and they're on the main page here. Above the fold with the picture, it says Behind the Gun, a special report, and then it says the headline, Shining a Light on Guns, Mental Health. An industry insider helps owners talk about suicide. So, they're going to bend it however much they can, but there's still, Mike and why can't I think of his name? Mike and the dude, Jake, are, there. They've got the booth set up. They're there, taking their time to be at this. Well, I don't know what they were at, but they were at some sort of an event, probably a medical event based on the look of the place and the stuff that they've got out. And, not just talking it, but then creating the curriculum for the medical field to understand gun owners as a segment of society and the unique aspects of a gun owner that regular physicians might often overlook. Let's see, then we got Dragon Man.
Good morning, guys. 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm at it. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. These are the last 7 or 8 vehicles that I have to winterize. I just filled them all up with fuel, and in the museum, I keep 20 vehicles ready for action. That means they're all full of fuel, the guns are on them, ammunition is in the vehicles, and they're all gassed up and ready to go. Okay, so anyway, I have 11 of these. This was nicknamed the Mutt. This is a Vietnam era.
I have 11 of these.
It's a 151A2. This is the last 151A2 that they made, 1983, before the Humvee. Okay, so over here, this is the first Humvee, 1983, the end of 1983. And AM General made these. They had the contract for the U.S. Army. And they made these for the last, they're still making them, I believe now, for like 40 years. And I have one of each different type of Humvee. Okay, over here we got the 4-door Humvee with bulletproof doors and windows. This one here is the troop carrier Hummer. Over here we got the 2-door Humvee. And over here we got the slashback Humvee. Okay, this vehicle here, I have 12 of these. This is Vietnam era and Korea. They started making these M37s in 1950 and stopped making them in 1968. And this is a very heavy-duty Dodge truck. I mean, you put this in low, it'll pull a house down. Very powerful. It's got a 230 cubic inch motor in it, and very, very dependable. Okay, this is the slashback Hummer. In fact, it's got a 6.2 liter engine. They're all diesel, the Humvees, and it's a 380 cubic inch V8 motor. Okay, over here we got the Vietnam era. This is the 114. We got the M59. We got the Patton M47 tank. In the museum, I got the T-54 tank, and all my stuff is combat ready. Okay, so anyway, this is what I'm doing today. I'm taking vehicles out. I'm switching them all around. I'm getting ready for the winter. We closed the museum November 12th. Let me show you. This is the plan for the museum. Okay, so today, let's see. Today's November 1st, and we got a tour going on today. The next one's Friday, November 3rd, and then we got Sunday, November 5th, and then another one Wednesday, November 8th, and then for Veterans Weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have the museum open. Veterans Day is Saturday, so that's like a week and a half from today. Not only that, but Veterans Day, to celebrate the end of the tours of the museum, we're having our machine gun shoot. We're going to rent out about 40 to 50 machine guns. Hopefully the weather will be good. And I hope Thanksgiving, the 23rd, we're going to have the museum open again, as long as the weather permits it. So we'll let you know. Keep in touch on Facebook. So that's the schedule for the museum tours. We only got like 7 more tours left. Okay, so anyway, I like to keep everything combat ready. Everybody's been watching the news. There's a lot of problems in Israel, a lot of problems with Russia, Ukraine, China, North Korea. It goes on and on. This is the worst I ever seen in America, to tell you the truth. And unfortunately, I think in the next 3 or 4 months, something might happen, right? And if something does happen, I want everybody here that's watching to man my vehicles. You're going to get a vehicle. You're going to get a helmet. We're going to give everybody a helmet. You're going to get 2,000 rounds of ammunition, 1,500 to 2,000 rounds of ammunition. I'm going to issue everybody one of my machine guns. Yeah, this is the 249. It's very reliable, 5.56, shoots a rate of about 550 rounds a minute. Okay, so you're going to get the machine gun, you're going to get the ammo, you're going to get the helmet, you're going to get the vehicle, and we're going to go and save Colorado Springs. Yahoo! What do you guys think? Huh? You with me? I can't hear you. I know you are. So we're really ready out here at the Colorado Springs Military Museum. Okay, guys. Well, I got to finish fueling everything up, and we're going to put all these vehicles away, and I got to open up in about an hour, 9:30. So you guys have a great day. Any questions about my military museum or my compound out here, just give me a call, 719-683-2200. Don't worry, America. We're going to protect you. I guarantee it.
Dragon Man's awesome. So, yeah, that's Dragon Man. You could be out there going to one of these museum tours, while it's like it is. It's going to just keep getting bigger and better. But this dude has 11 of the old Jeeps, driven them quite a bit. And then those, wish there was a way to fast forward in here. But we never really had Humvees when I was in. So, and they existed, but nobody had them yet. So most of my time is in deuce and a halves and that old T-50 or whatever you called it from Vietnam and Korea. But yeah, Dragon Man's awesome. 11 Jeeps, 11 of those Vietnam era quarter tons or whatever they are, half tons. And yeah, we'll keep going. All right, so this one is from NAGA, and I don't think there's any audio, but it's essentially just a graphic that says, did you know AR stands for Armalite Rifle Design 15, designed in 1957 by Armalite. So I think that's going around right now, that a bunch of people think it's called, AR stands for Assault Rifle. And, there's some people that are going to be wrong, just don't know. And then a lot of people that do that to piss us off, to get gun owners all going. So it's like getting rickrolled. You're going to allow it to happen, or are you going to just move on?
National races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and then. But once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good.
I got to commend you and all of the folks with the San Diego gun owners for your activism, because you really are punching above your weight. And we talk about, national groups and state level groups, and then there's, local groups. I'd say you are maybe the most effective, local group in the country right now.
That the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good.
So there's a couple of things going on there, and I think that's this is from Gun Owners Radio. They must have been on an interview with Cam Edwards. There's Cam saying what I was saying a couple weeks back already, that San Diego Gun Owners is probably one of the most effective local levels, and this is one of the reasons why. Just that insight to local elections and the focus on that. It's a bit late since we just had elections this week, probably everywhere, but this was sort of a week ago with like a last push awareness that what most people would consider inconsequential elections are possibly the most important elections, those little small elections for beginning things. They don't mention it in this clip, but it was recently that we focused on the idea that when you get these, politicians come from somewhere, they don't just get elected to the top position. They get elected to smaller positions and then keep getting elected to bigger and bigger positions along the way. So influence and being part of the smaller election, at those smaller elections, potentially being part of the career positions beginnings, their start of their whole career. So being support ones that you value, a lot of potential worth. Boy, my internet must be bad. So give me some feedback if anybody's still out there. We're going to keep going in spite of if I can't tell if the internet's working still or not. So then this says, you and I both know that no single organization has a better chance to turn the tide toward freedom and justice than our NRA. Our firearms freedom are at the benchmark for every other freedom in the Constitution. So my rights, my freedom, all they're saying is, my freedom and my rights to my freedom. The NRA members, you and I have a role to play like we've never played before. It's time to rise up, fight together, and save our nation and steer America back on track. I don't know. I guess people that they're trying to reach are not paying attention. People that are casual gun owners, I guess. Hey, casual gun owner. Remember how the politicians said NRA? We're NRA, pay us. So, I'm just marking that one so that we can be aware. They're still over there doing their thing. Are you reaching out to the general audience? Are you reaching out to people in your state? Are you, what's your focus? Is there anyone focused on NRA members that aren't paying attention?
The United States Supreme Court has...
What would happen if NRA members started paying attention? Okay, so now we got Michael Cargill talking about the Garland versus Cargill bump stock case.
Picked up the Cargill bump stock lawsuit. That is Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States versus Michael Cargill, will be in the United States Supreme Court late February or early March. They have granted cert, which means that my case, the Michael Cargill case, will be in the United States Supreme Court. This is huge because now we're talking about, can the ATF create a right law? And this will help us in all the cases that are headed toward the Supreme Court. So whether it's a trigger, whether it's a brace. So we're very excited about this case, and we're looking forward to having our day in court in the United States Supreme Court. As always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there, you buy yourself a gun. The United States.
So that's Michael Cargill from Come and Talk It. Okay, making sure my audio works. My internet's dropping out. I think everybody live is either gone or my internet's not reporting anybody. So very cool. And that's someone who was upset by the bump stock decision. And instead of just being upset and just complaining about it with a radio show, just complaining about it as a gun shop owner, just complaining about it as a gun owner, took them to court and said, hey, what's up with this? You're not allowed to do this on these many reasons. And that went to the court, and they ruled it as his favor. Then it went to the next court up. They ruled it his favor. Went to the circuit court, which I believe was that first one. And then they brought in all the different judges and did it again, I believe, and still voted for his favor. Then it was a similar case was voted on the other side on the fifth court or the second court or one of the other circuit courts. And that triggers, since there's two circuit courts with differing opinions, that essentially triggers it to go up to the Supreme Court. Now it's an issue. Now the lower courts don't agree. Let's bring it up to the Supreme Court to get an ultimate ruling on this one. We'll not just talk about the bump stock, but if the ATF/executive branch has the ability to enforce something specific out of the general instruction from the Congress of, regulate guns, are they allowed to then go rogue and regulate guns early? Or do they need to keep asking the Congress, well, what guns? How do we regulate guns? It's an interesting one. And it's awesome to see a radio show host, a gun shop owner, a veteran, and an upset citizen take a case all the way to the Supreme Court. And instead of just happening and like the current one that's in the Supreme Court or it's going, we have a bad example of person with rights. Bad people have rights. Oh no, like we're not supposed to acknowledge that. Well, they picked a bad person whose rights were smashed on to challenge to bring up the Supreme Court. They did that with an intent because they want to use a bad person. Everybody wants to bring an example up that, helps their case. And in this case, they thought it would help their case if they brought up a person who is bad, but who still has rights to challenge whether the state can take away their person's rights. Well, in this case, we've got Michael Cargill. We've got an actual upstanding citizen who's challenged against an unfair law and isn't a criminal accused of something. Instead, it's an upright citizen who said, no, what's up with this government? I'm challenging you. And that's gone to the Supreme Court. Giant win. Anybody who's not paying attention to this is probably also not paying attention to the comment
This is probably
periods.
one of the best.
So let's go take a look at the comment periods. I just had to restart everything here. So we'll just open them back up again. The links are in the description. I try to put them not in everything we do, but we try to keep them in the descriptions of our videos so that they're handy for you. But we have two comment periods that are happening right now. One of them has to do with black powder and whether or not, or how often, I guess, you need to report your quantities and location of your black powder, your other explosives to the government. So most people don't have explosives. That's just companies having to tell the bureaucracy unnecessarily often the status of their explosives. Well, if we had explosives going off all over the place, that could cause some concern. If explosives were used for any ill intent, maybe you could suggest there's some concern. But one, there is no concern. And two, there is no concern. And three, it's not any of their business. So it's actually bullshit, reach, it's creep, it's bureaucracy creep. So if you don't care whether or not an organization is reporting how many explosives they have because it doesn't affect you, well, when are you going to care that you do have to report? So giving them the authority and the need and the authority, I guess, to be told every time you change something about something that's inconsequential, you're giving them power they didn't already have, and you're removing our, I don't know what you call that, liberty, whatever, freedom of, not having them to hassle. It's not that you have to say that you're good or bad. It's just, why should you have to tell the government anything? And why should the government have a big branch to worry about if people are good or bad, or if they're doing things with good or bad intent? It's unnecessarily bureaucratic nanny state. And if you really think that's going to accomplish anything, then go live in a country that's already got that and see if they're succeeding or if they're failing. Anyhow, so this one, the explosives, I could see people ignoring that one, but at the same time, 400 and something comments, 494. There are 494 comments, literally under 500 comments. Now let's go look at whether or not you sell one firearm if you need to get an FFL, but they won't give you an FFL for selling one firearm. So therefore you're in a catch-22 where you can no longer sell your firearms legally. Like, what are they trying to create here? They're trying to change the definition of who is engaged in the business of dealing firearms. Well, now it says you're predominantly making a living off of selling firearms. That's how you become a dealer. So somebody can become a part-time dealer because they make part-time money on it, or they can become a dealer like they do it full-time. They want to suggest with this new rule that any gun you sell with the intent of making a profit, if you're going to make a profit on the gun, now you need to be a dealer. But you're not going to be eligible to be a dealer for selling one gun. That's ridiculous. You're not going to become an FFL for selling one gun. So they've effectively catch-22'd you into not being able to sell a gun. What the end game is here is unknown. They're doing this to do something. They're flailing their arms because they're flailing their arms. They're losing on the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case in our realm, but there's 107,000 fentanyl deaths. That's up from like 60,000. So there's a massive increase in fentanyl deaths. That's just the deaths and overdose of fentanyl. So are gun issues because of gun issues, or because of their lack of policy to affect anything with fentanyl? They want to desperately keep the focus off of fentanyl and worry about guns. Now, you don't think fentanyl is a big deal because you haven't heard about it on the news. You don't think that 107,000 fentanyl overdoses is a big issue. All right, it's a free country. I don't care what you think. So what if you think about smoking deaths? 500,000 smoking-related deaths. It's just the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, the federal level organization that we we give the task of keeping track of who dies and how. 500,000 tobacco-related deaths. 500,000, 500,000. ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Tobacco is 500,000 deaths. Alcohol, somewhere around, I think, 100,000, or is it 200,000 deaths from alcohol. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. 500,000, 200,000. Now you get down to guns. If on a huge year of a lot of deaths, it's 40,000 deaths from a gun. In that year, 30,000 of those deaths will be suicide. So now there's a suggested medical emergency about firearms. There's a epidemic of firearms deaths. 107,000 fentanyl, 500,000 tobacco, and 100 or 200,000 alcohols. Yet the 10 to 40,000 gun-related in suicides are the health epidemic. So this is something that we're ignoring at our peril. We're not using the tools, the civic resources that are available to us as citizens in this country. We're not using those as tools. We're allowing the other side to use them as weapons against us, because this one has 227,000 comments. You haven't even heard about it from our side. 227,000 comments. Let's go look at some comments. Open in a new tab. These are comments that have come in probably recently and probably sorted by, well, actually it's just sorted by best match, so who knows what search term that is. I am writing in support of the ATF. 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 We're being slaughtered. We're being literally slaughtered, and no one's even paying attention to that stuff. All right, that was a little side note there. You as an individual can challenge anyone who's going live. How come we're not talking about the comment periods? How come we're ignoring the 250,000 comments that are in there? Who's gonna come save us? Who's our savior here? What's lawsuit's gonna solve this problem? Which $30 a year membership solves this problem? Or we just ignore it. All right. Next up is, let me say hey to people. Mike White is out there. Good afternoon. Maybe he'll find you. I think we found you. Gun Defense Dad joins us. Thank you. Gizzard, we already said hey. And Unapologetically Armed is out there, potentially still out there. Zane out there as well. And if I'm missing anybody, it's because you didn't say nothing. If you're listening in the future as a podcast, then leave a comment or suggestion, or maybe a page we should follow on the Instagram. So this is another one. This time it's Pincus posting about Edgar's kids. Edgar's kids did a animated review of the pistol. Thought that was pretty cool. So then Tony over here copyrighting me again, but he's got another diversity shoot. Well, he had another diversity shoot coming up on the 30th, and oh no, he does have another one coming up on the 30th. So this month, last month was October. This month is November. Now I got it. So there is another one coming up. This one's in New Jersey at Gun for Hire range where it all started. So this is some video of probably past events and some of the loot, some of the fun you have, and kind of give you an idea of the facilities. Nice, nice looking new facilities there. And kind of some of the guns you might shoot too. I guess I forget about that. Some people care about what kind of guns you're shooting. And that's in New Jersey. They're shooting an AK in New Jersey. Let's see. This is what's his face saying, please quit repeating this lie. Biden forced millions of women to take an so this is the vice president saying, the president and I believe that women should make decisions about their own health care and their bodies, not the government. And then Massey is saying, quit repeating this lie. Biden forced millions of women to take an experimental shot as a condition of employment. I don't know why I put that in here. So, you're going to get people that are talking about guns, and you're going to get people talking about all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to uncheck that one. I don't really know. I must have had some reason why I thought that would be worth talking about here. This I remember. So remember we talked about some of the newsletters that are available. The Liberty Poll is essentially the newsletter of the Project Appleseed, and education and in history and gun marksmanship and safety, and then understanding where guns live in society and our culture and our history. Pretty awesome organization for the youths and people that want to help educate the youths, I guess. So it says the November edition of the Liberty Poll is live and online. This month's issue includes event highlights from an Iowa known distance clinic, tips and tricks for building a great AR-22 Liberty training rifle, and the history of the Stamp Act. Check it out and they got the link there. If you'd like to have the Liberty Poll delivered to your inbox each month, you can subscribe to their newsletter essentially. So again, another way to get information out on a regular basis and organize a group of people who have similar interests to kind of be connected with the newsletter, which is, how different is that from those original pamphlets that the founders of the nation used to inform, create awareness, and then eventually to literally to help rally, to use as event alerts or whatever, and then eventually it archived everything because once you had a bunch of pamphlets telling people, hey, here's some ideas that you might not have thought about, and then you got people saying, hey, let's get together and talk about those ideas. And then you got people getting together and go, hey, let's get together and chat about maybe we can do things a different way. Then you have a war happen and everybody decides to start doing stuff a different way. Those pieces of paper are our history. Those pieces of paper document and archive the process it took to get to it. And essentially that's what a lot of people look at and go, right on, my rights, my property. But we have to share that experience and share that knowledge, share that facet. Otherwise, what do you want? Everybody just take your word for it? Your rights, your liberty? Like, what do they care about your rights, your liberty? Tell them it's their rights, their liberty. So anyway, I think these newsletters and things are great. They're ways to have stuff instead of just watching the stream go by. There are ways to have stuff in your inbox. And you can, if you're the type, you want to go back and check something, you have the place to go look. I can go look in my inbox. I can go look into the folder I've created that holds the Project Appleseed newsletters. And I may not have photographic memory to remember which one it's in, but I can remember about what year it might have been or what part of the year it was, and I can go back and find that article. So knowing your resources is half the battle, and these give you the ability to keep track of all that. Or at least they're one more tool to help do that. So this is Maj being pretty smart about his marketing and getting the message out with Black Guns Matter. He says, who owns Black Guns Matter merchandise? If you do, post a pic and post it in this thread so he can repost. So that gives people who've bought the product a chance to show it off and to be creative with the way they show it off, or just to participate, and then to create a larger audience based, the product, you use them to help do that, just that, or awareness. All right, I guess we're going to have a commercial while my internet goes bad and I can drink some coffee. You can buy stuff at our store. If you're a capitalist, you want to redistribute some of your financial resources to allow us to do what we're doing, consider joining us, grabbing stuff at our store.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
I guess I've been talking for over an hour. That's why I'm dying. So if you're out there, say hey. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. But if you're interested in how to make your channel, your project more successful, check out our coaching shows on Tuesday. Every Tuesday morning, try to go live and talk about what it's like to be a content creator, especially one who's focused on what the Second Amendment protects. It can be frustrating, but it can also be super fun. And when it's super fun and you have successes, it's great to be able to share those with other folks who don't understand maybe the whys or hows. And when it's not so great and you're having issues or challenges, having others who can appreciate it and maybe offer some advice or some assistance is also hopefully of value. So trying to create that and keep that going every Tuesday in the mornings on this channel. And you can find that out on our podcast as well if you're listening to the podcast. That's the Tuesday shows. Gunswater saying, hey, welcome. Thanks for checking in. So kind of just talking about merch, and now you got the gun store, and it says this awesome gun shop in Vegas, one of the first ranges in Vegas to rent machine guns. I mean, back in the olden days, I shot machine guns there. They're also featured on a bunch of TV shows, I think. And it's just neat too. I mean, literally for decades, been watching that store grow and evolve. All right, so this says, get out and train. Thank you, Justine, for repping the gun store while running and gunning. So somebody was out there doing something at a night shoot. She's got a pretty nice looking AR, skull AR, I guess, with some kind of nice looking optic on it, and then a little short railed thing with HK style collapsible stock. I don't know, maybe it isn't so nice. It's an interesting looking AR. How about that? And then basically she's just sitting there with her kind of, I don't know what that is. I guess it's just a pose, but with the good shot of the back of her sweatshirt, which says the gun store, which is their logo, which is an HK MP5 with like just a regular standard stock, which sort of defeats the purpose of having a small little HK, in my opinion. But that's their logo. It's always been that way. Anyway, looks pretty good. A great picture. Then we get this plant. She's saying, imagine you're in a bowling alley with a handgun and the perpetrator walks in with a military-style weapon and a bulletproof vest. And then it's FPC making fun of her. So you can tell this is super fake and engineered, but other people are going to just move on from this distraction. Twitter is full of dumbasses. Let's hold on. So this is Firearms Policy Coalition's response to this whole thing. Twitter is fully of dumbass takes these past few days. Here's one of the latest. Banning weapons of war on the streets isn't about infringing on you. It's about protect. Okay, so eventually they just say the whole thing. But this is super fake. Like, this is so obviously fake right from the beginning. So, they want us to spin off. They know exactly what spins us off. So they plant this shit to make us spin off. Like, don't spin off just because there's something obvious in front of you. What is this? This is, I don't know. There's probably no music here. So we'll go back. This is the Jedbird podcast, though. I'm going to flip back and forth so you can hear.
Some cases 17 and 30. And how do you unify people from all over the...
Okay. So this is Jocko talking about the challenges and the opportunities of leadership in the military.
When you want to unify a team or build a team, it's very helpful if you as a team get to do hard things together. That's kind of the whole basis of the military and the military training is, they're going to take a group of civilians that are between the ages of 18 and 30, in some cases 17 and 30, and how do you unify people from all over the country, in some cases from other countries? How do you take all these random people and get them unified? Well, you send them to boot camp and they do a bunch of hard stuff together. And every time they do something hard, they get closer and they form bonds. And then if you continue in the Army and you go from there to airborne school, well, now you're all jumping out of an airplane together. So you have a bond that's even closer. And if you go to Ranger school, you're going to have a bond that's even closer. So they continue to make you do hard things and you become closer. That's why units that have been in combat together, they often have very strong bonds because they've done the hardest thing together.
It's not like it's rocket science. It's very basic, but the elite is just the basics done so often that they just always happen. So this is basic stuff, but enduring challenges as a team, as a community, as a group gives strength. And I wish I had a way to harness that or to bottle that. The best I think I ever was able to accomplish was gun channels, where a bunch of people who were enthusiastically active in different ways got together and collaborated and archived their wins and losses, and then just chatted on a very regular basis. So they became like intimately aware of each other's situations, and we had a pretty good thing going there for a good long time with people who had been through things together, not always challenges, but been through experiences together. And again, as somebody who's trying to create or organize, understand that factor. So there's nothing going on, creating something. The Girl in a Gun workshops in Colorado each year are creating a bond that's priceless. There's no way to pay for that. They do technically, I guess, but you couldn't just send everybody a CD like some organizations send everybody a DVD, send everybody an email with a little video in it. Okay, now we're bonded together. Yeah, it's not quite the same. So some of these things go into rallies, traveling, going to like Wanamaker, for example, going to an event, meeting up at a museum like Dragon Man's or something. These have value beyond the memories and beyond the snapshots and the selfies. Also, I have to start listening to this Jedbird podcast. I follow him on Instagram. I haven't listened to one of their podcasts yet, but every single clip I listen to, it seems like it's a really interesting podcast. Seems like it's really focused on the physical fit aspect of stuff. But as a physically fit specimen, I'm bored by other people talking about their physical fitness. Let's see. So this is the Blue Angels. I don't know why I saved this one. Probably just because how often do we talk about something awesome like the Blue Angels? But a lot of effort, a lot of commitment, and pretty neat. I mean, pretty much, I think most militaries have something to show off, but ours is better. Like, ours is pretty kick-ass, and this is just the Navy's. So, the Air Force has one, and then other groups have different things besides airplanes. So, just a little shout out to Blue Angels, I guess. They never come around here. We get the Thunderbirds because we're Air Force here. So we never see the Blue Angels. I've seen them before, but never in Arizona. This is interesting.
On the campus of USC, I was a projectionist, and when you turned the projectors on, they hummed. I thought that was kind of a magical musical sound, and I recorded that motor hum, and later I added a buzzing sound from the back of my television set, and that became the basis for all the lightsabers. This is the projector motor hum. And then this is the sound of the picture tube. Okay. The blend of those two is... and then making a new recording of it with another microphone and swinging the microphone around in front of the speaker produces a Doppler effect.
So that's how they make lightsabers. They make a sound by taking two interesting sounds and blending them together to make the effect that they wanted. And then they take that microphone that's on the end of a stick, very sensitive microphone that's just going to listen to, the immediate area. And then they wave that microphone around and it hears, like he says, a Doppler effect of the main sound being blasted out by the speaker. It's pretty neat. And I've also heard that the phasers were them taking up the guidelines that go up to hold up like an electric pole or an antenna or something, the support lines that are stuck in the ground. They just went up and smacked one of them with a hammer or something, and it makes that sound that the lasers have. So Defense Stat is saying we experience that at work to an extent. We only have a crew of 3 to run the store 7 days a week. We sometimes know more about what's going on in each other's lives than our own families. Oh, for sure, man. I liked working restaurants back in the day. When I was doing 9-to-5 stuff before computers, I was doing restaurants, and I was working in restaurants, and a lunch rush is that bond. Like, those people, that's the way that restaurant crews, a good restaurant has such a good crew and is like such a good restaurant, is because it's like a family back there. And, just like a regular family, you're going to have a couple of people that are spinning off or doing weird things once in a while. But for the most part, you're living through adversity every single lunch rush, and you're really good at it. Ambulance crews, I'm sure, similar thing, much more higher stakes, I guess. And then back of the shop or whatever they call it for restaurants, same thing, I imagine. I haven't worked in too many restaurants like that where you have the front, like in the movies where you have the front and the back and all that, but I'll bet you the backs are the same thing. It's just chaos back there. Construction, probably same thing. I've had some experience with that. Pretty much lots of business, lots of professions, I suppose. Think about accountants in tax season. They probably have their own, debriefings and preparations for all that. So it has nothing to do with
I'm going to show you how to make oil out here in the world.
This also has nothing to do with guns, but I like these kind of ways to use Instagram, ways to get information across in a little amount of time. Often people go, Instagram, it's just a bunch of kids, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a bunch of kids doing blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, there's creative people getting interesting information across that you would normally have to watch a documentary. I would not want to have to watch 45 minutes. I would not want to waste 20 minutes of my life learning this. But if I can learn this in a minute or two, let me know what you think.
Birch bark is loaded with oil. I'm going to be extracting the oil. You'll need a couple things for this. One is a metal can of some kind. has to have a lid. And I've poked 3 holes in the lid, and I've poked a hole in the bottom of the can, right in the center. I've bent the bottom in kind of a rounded shape. And a soup can or something. Now I'm going to dig a hole in the ground in the middle of my fire pit. This will be where the empty soup can goes. You want it just deep enough to where the top of the soup can is about an inch underground. Then I'll fill in the sides, trying not to get any dirt into the can. Then I'll take a bunch of birch bark and roll it up, then stuff it into the other can. I'll put the lid on. I'll set this on top of the soup can. I'll bury the bottom with about an inch of dirt or so. Then I'll add these rocks around it just so it doesn't tip over. Then I'll use some birch bark to get a fire going. Then I'll build the fire around the can. You want the fire to be hot, but not blazing hot. If it's too hot, the oil will get too thick like a tar. So I'm going to let this cook for about 1.5 to 2 hours. You can see the gases escaping from the can are on fire. Once all those gases burn out, it'll be about done. I'll scrape the ashes and dirt out of the way, and then I'll pull the can up. And now we have extracted the birch oil. There won't be much left of the bark. It'll be charred and crumbled. The oil is going to have some water in it, but it'll separate. You can treat leather or your tools with it. It can be used as a lubricant or wood preservative, bug repellent. It has medicinal properties and a ton of other uses. I'm going to show you how to make oil out here in the woods. Birch.
Pretty neat, huh? Maybe not. Some people don't care about stuff like that. Other people dig that kind of stuff. So Chris is out there. Good afternoon. Unapologetically Armed is saying, that this was somebody out here. All right, how are we doing now? We got audio back yet? All right, how are we doing now? We got audio back yet? All right. So, is this a conspiracy? What is this? One, this dog is in charge of this, so it's his fault. We know that. But who's working against this dog? That's the question. Is it YouTube working against us? Is it the anti-gun squad against us? It's windy, but that wouldn't explain why my microphone keeps cutting out. I guess that's just a cheap microphone. I thought it was a good microphone, but seems like when I move it or something, like I'm about to move it again, and watch it'll cut out maybe. So maybe this dog needs to be put into some sort of a harness so that he quits moving around, and then that way I wouldn't quit moving my microphone around. Okay, so this is San Diego gun owners, and they are asking the sheriff of San Diego County, Kelly Martinez, what do you feel about CCW holders? So the sheriff of San Diego is being asked about CCW holders, and this is her answer to that question.
Towards us, CCW people in general.
Well, I haven't been in the field in a long time, so I think generally, I honestly don't think they think much about it at all. They're comfortable in our background process that people who have a CCW permit are lawfully carrying a gun if they need to, and a lot of the reasons that you all carry, and I don't know if for personal protection, but people are transporting money. We have realtors that are concerned about being, their job. People are picking up cash rents and things like that. So I have some churches, have congregants typically who are trying to be there, and it takes us a while to get to a scene when there's an active shooter situation. So I think there's a lot of good reasons for folks to carry concealed, and I don't think deputies are concerned about it. So
How do the police and sheriff?
So a lot of people wouldn't have voted for her for sheriff, and San Diego gun owners did, supported her, and this is the results. You get a sheriff that's confidently unconcerned about concealed carry holders. That alone isn't going to win nothing, but it's certainly better than a loss. So I don't think Woods is out there today, but this is a post from Faster Saves Lives, and it says, what book should we add to our reading list? Please comment below. I guess what I'll do is I'll type in Woods here. Oh, wait, is Woods on? Yeah, there he is. So, let's take a look at some of these books. So, The Unthinkable, I don't know what that one is. Something of Fear, The Gift of Fear. Something there. Left of Bang, that one's interesting. That's written by the Marines. It has to do with if the explosion is the center and the right of the explosion is the consequences of the explosion, is the reaction to the explosion. If you think like that on a timeline, to the left of the explosion, everything to the left of Bang would be preliminary, would be preventative, would be predominant or potentially you'd have potential to eliminate Bang, the explosion happening if you were mentioned before the incident. Instead of waiting to react to an incident, you prevent an incident. I guess that's a way to explain it. Then you get the Citizen's Guide to Armed Defense. I don't know that one. Inside the Mind of a Killer. I don't care about that one too much. Surviving a Mass Killer Rampage. I don't care about that one. I don't know. I guess that's a book to read. Warrior Mindset. I have not heard about that one, but it says it's Lieutenant Grossman. Then the next one is On Killing, which is Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. I don't agree with everything he says in there, but it is an interesting book for sure. And then you got On Combat by Grossman, which is essentially like a different version of the same thing, but an exploration into the the process of becoming a person who has to kill, or a person that kills, or a person who's asked to kill, and then how society views, that ultimate criminal act, or that ultimate act, whatever you want to call that, like that ultimate act, and if it's something that is thrust upon a person, or if it's something that a person conscientiously signs up for. There's different mental things going on there, and Colonel Grossman was one of the first, if not, I think the first, to focus on that. So those are 3 books that focus on that mental mammal side of killing, and the sociology side of killing in the in the world in 2023, or like modern world. And then it says a sniper in the something. I don't know what that one is. So I don't know. These are interesting books. A couple of them I'd have no interest in reading, but some of them I've read, and then others, I might be interested in. But you don't see too many bookshelves. You don't see too many posts like this about reading lists. And not everybody reads, but a lot of people are probably sitting on trains, or sitting in passenger seats, or sitting in the back of airplanes or something. And reading is not just a way to pass the time, but, well, the only thing you can do, maybe. Certainly cheap compared to some other options. We're 2 hours into this one, so thanks everybody who's joining us to be part of this, and then anybody who's listening in the future. Hopefully, if it's worth your time, you think about joining us on Patreon as a subscriber, someone who helps us take the time to do this and spend the money on the softwares and things. There's about $200 more software, $200 worth of software I'd like to get each month, but right now that's beyond any kind of reality. But with those upgrades, I think we could do some more interesting things. So, if you're interested in being a part of what we do, which is projects online, we do social media on the regular, and then we archive things on our websites that have grown, or existed through collaborations and through live discussions, and with the way that we've been able to grow our projects, something will come up and we are able to build it, and instead of it just falling all apart and being a blip on the timeline of history, most of our stuff that's of value is still in existence. Like our Ask Gun Questions project, it evolves and changes throughout the time, like our daily gun show, this project, like some of our websites. They have their ups and downs, and ability to do more, and the times when they're just barely scraping by. And it's our Patreons, the people that subscribe to this, that allow us to do it. You see, there's not a lot of ads. I'm going to try to get some ad space so that we can do some ads, see how to explore that a little bit again. But, typically when you do advertisement, they expect you to do something sensational, or something phenomenal, or something big, so that a bunch of eyeballs see their advertising. If we can find some advertisers that value the people who we reach, that would be ideal. But we don't have to do that with our Patreons. With our people who support what we do, we're able to be creative, be experimental, and to be reactive. When something happens, we can do something about it. We don't have to exploit everything that happens. Hopefully that didn't kill the mic right now, but give me some feedback if you would. All right, so another one from Stephen Holbrook. His posts are very, informational. It says tomorrow is at the Supreme Court is United States versus Rahimi. So that was Tuesday of this week, 2 days ago. It says, well, it was really yesterday. It says, in my last Second Amendment Roundup blog post, I shared several more erroneous arguments by Merrick Garland's Justice Department in its reply brief filed in United States versus Rahimi. At the end of my blog post, I recommended a recent draft article posted on someplace by somebody entitled something, Sureties, Domestic Violence, Lunatics, and the Right to Bear Arms. Stephen Holbrook wrote, whatever, shows domestic violence accepted at the founding was preached. It was inveighed against, whatever that is, and there were mechanisms such as a system for addressing it. The fact that domestic violence was not accepted, domestic violence were comparable higher than they are today. And domestic violence with arms specifically was there is an actual foundation that changes in firearms strategy in the 19th century caused higher rates of domestic violence. And then he goes on, so posts this guy, he does a lot of, he's just kind of wordy in his posts. All right, so Mike is saying, I find it hard to find time to read with YouTube videos, daily life, and working. There's enough time in my waking hours. 100%. Appreciate the people that summarize and the people that offer stuff. That's why I try to do these so that people don't have to spend. I don't get to spend a bunch of time each week. These shows kind of fluctuate if I'm able to spend time out there or not. With Instagram, a lot of times I'll do it in bursts. So, I don't know if you notice the time frames on some of these, they'll be bursts. I'll pay attention for a day or two on Instagram, and then I'll just be busy for 3 days. And I won't even look at Instagram. But I definitely appreciate the people that are take the time to archive and to summarize. So you never know if it's something that people will get used to so that they don't even have to go scurry around trying to figure out everything that's going on. If you can offer them a weekly or a bi-weekly or a monthly summary, depending on the topics you're talking about, so that you could become a resource for people, or if it's just a temporary thing where somebody's just busy this week and they know that they can go back and find yours, and you might get quite a few people that just bump your project. So yeah, if that's something that like you consider, how can you debate how you could participate if you don't have a bunch of guns or something, or if you don't get to go places, or if you don't have a bunch of money, or if you don't have a bunch of time to do stuff. Just summarizing, doing a weekly summary can be of tremendous resource to the community, tremendous help. So this is Brooke. I guess that gun is dirty, I guess. And now it's clean. I don't know. We have different definitions of what a dirty gun is, I guess. But, she's showing her gun getting clean. I'm assuming that's a 1911. Kind of looks like a 1911. I don't know what she shoots. Something with a flared magwell. Then this is from 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. The average household has 4.8 firearms, and then it's got the what now? Looking meme thing going. Pretty funny. Then a couple of good ones are, you mean per room? It's a pretty good one. Yeah, most of the answers are per room. This one says per person. How many guns do you have? Enough. Some people would say never enough, though. So it looks like on the 12th of November, over at the Cape Gunworks range, which is still a couple of days away, you've got the apple shoot. It says apple shooting is a fun and challenging activity that tests your marksmanship and precision. If you're looking for a way to spice up your weekend, why not join us for an apple shooting event at the range? No, nothing required. You're getting to get 20 rounds of 22 and 4 apples. And that's from 11 to 2. I wonder if they shoot old gross apples or if they're shooting good apples. I feel like it's a waste of apples to shoot good apples. Nobody would care if you're shooting gross apples. But gross apples may be harder to explode. So this is from a person I follow from Texas. Today is Doc Brown's is the day that Doc Brown invented time travel back in 1955. I'm a big fan of looking at dates and stuff on movies. So this is from Back to the Future, I think the first one. And, well, it's not the fifth anymore. But the fifth was the date that he, in 1955, that the whole movie started and everything. So it's kind of neat. I'm never sure if I should include that kind of stuff or not. I've been told probably more often that people like the stuff from movies and TV, but I have been told by people who I value their opinion that having that stuff in, the gun stuff, is a distraction and it isn't necessary. And I get it. If there's like 6 things that happen on a day, I almost never put the movie stuff in there unless it's something critical, in which case I leave it in there. But most of the time, the movie stuff does get kicked to the curb easily. Like, not everything takes priority over it. But if it's a day that nothing's going on anyway, and I can add something to the calendar that's, from a movie that everybody knows about, I tend to do it. Same thing with like airplane history or something like that kind of has nothing to do with guns. Just interesting. So this is interesting. It says, can you identify this AK? So that's the question. Can you identify it? You can tell from the front that it's something from Hungary. I guess it's possible it's from China, but I think it's from Hungary. And I'm guessing it's just either a modified or some kind of goofy regular furniture on an AMD 65. And then the stock is just goofy. So I don't know what happened. Somebody broke a stock maybe, or somebody thought they would make a better one. So I'm not sure. But a lot of people are saying AMD 65. A couple of people saying Mahdi. It does kind of look like Mahdi furniture, but it also kind of looks Russian or Chinese. This one says AMD 65 with the brake chopped, for no idea. Stock hinged is an AMD series and some sort of Bulgarian lower handguard. That could be a Bulgarian handguard, I guess. But it's not a chopped Romanian. It doesn't look like plywood or whatever. Anyway, whatever it is, it's going to be pretty loud because of that goofy looking brake on the end, or lack of brake. It's just kind of a loudener. All right, next up is from the University of Wyoming in Laramie. Wait, no, in Cheyenne? No, I don't know where it is. Laramie. It says, though, that their fall conference is Mike Sedini and Jake from Walk Talk America, and their topic will be fostering understanding, safety, and support. Anyway, so they're out there doing stuff in the West. This is in Phoenix in the memorials. This is a, oops, clicked on the wrong button. This is the memorial near the state capitol. At ground level, you've got all the different war memorials from the different campaigns, like World War I and World War II and Vietnam, and all the different campaigns that we've had, theaters of war. Then there's other things like police memorials and some dog memorials, canines and stuff. Then you go down these ramps into like a pit, and this lower area is people who were killed by illegal people that weren't legal to be here. And I don't know how permanent. You can see it's kind of semi-permanent. These are up all the time, but they're definitely not engraved into the stone or anything. So essentially, there's a group of people that are paying attention to the number of people who are killed by people who shouldn't have been in the country, or essentially cartels. Let's just say cartels. This is pretty neat. The Marshall Museum is a museum that just opened not too long ago. And they talked about the show called Lawman, Bass Reeves, that's on TV now. So I checked that out. They're only two episodes in, but they're like hour-long episodes, so they're interesting. essentially, it's, I don't know how fictionalized it is, but it's so far Bass Reeves coming from back east. He's a slave, and then essentially during the Civil War, and then there's no slaves. Oops, shit, what did I do? During the Civil War, and there's no slave. The end of the Civil War, and he's not a slave anymore. But then he goes and he sort of books it and has to be on the run for a little while. And then when he comes back after not being on the run for a while, hooks back up with his wife, and I don't want to spoil it, but then I think they'll eventually, he just became a marshal, so or a sheriff or something. So he just started his law career. But yeah, certainly an interesting show. So thanks to Marshall Museum for mentioning that. So we're watching it. I probably watch it until it's over. Like watching week to week. I hate. So I don't know about y'all, but wait until it's over and then watch the whole thing in one run. Hopefully that didn't lose my audio. I guess I should go check. Come on, where's my mouse? All right, that's still working. All right, so then we're getting closer to here. It'll probably be a 3. Brooke went to campaign for the Connecticut elections. And, looks like a Republican, and they had some probably women for gun rights stuff there, some other things. Then we get NSSF. Everybody out the director of the ATF. Remember the time the ATF did not have a director, and now it does have a director. When they were nominating and evaluating, I guess, different people who want a director, Diddleberger's response to whether he's going to enforce this, create more of that. He said, we're just do our job. So whatever is what we do. Not to interpret, just to do what we're supposed to, what we're told. And we've got him at Harvard here, and it says director, what's his face, an audience at Harvard in a Gun in America discussion agreed with gun advocates a ban on modern sporting rifles, modern sporting rifles, and universal checks. That's a break from congressional testimony where he testified that he would the law, not have new ones. So it's nothing new, but it is here to be documented that this guy is already continuing to do exactly what people were concerned about, what they thought he would, and he it's probably if I'm gonna stretch like that. So what is on here? It says this is Gatorade for a front row Formula One. Current traffic in front of the Venetian goes on the track. Oh, okay. So they're going to be racing Formula One in Vegas now, where they changed a whole bunch of the streets in Vegas to be able to handle Formula One, which is pretty good because now I can drive my van at its full capacity because the streets can handle it. I was always afraid to tear up the weak streets of Vegas by letting my van, open up and run at its full 350 cubic centimeters of powers. But evidently they're going to run a bunch of metric cars around on it to warm it up. That's the Thunderdome that lives next to SHOT Show now. And interesting. I was at a place in California that had race car tracks for streets, so now Vegas does too. So when you drive around Vegas at certain points, you know that you're driving on a racetrack. They spent a bunch of money ripping up the streets so that they could handle both my van and Formula One cars. This is KD. What's he saying? This is him talking to SOE.
that's why you could have saws and you could have axes, but you were on the land, you were working on.
All right, so now I'm going to go back to KD talking to Esotech, or he's talking to SOE. Why can't I think of dude's name? Anyway, Willis from
If any slave or black was caught with anything that could be used as a weapon, in the law, I use the example of a cane. Okay. Then they could be shot and killed and murdered on sight by any white man. The only responsibility the white man would have was to tell the owner that they were killed. You were only allowed to have something that could be used as a weapon under the guise of your master. So that's why you could have saws and you could have axes, but you were on the land, you were working on the land, you had an overseer. Outside of that, you were not allowed to have anything that could be used as a weapon. So that's truly the first kind of weapon and gun control we had, and that was back in 1620. If any slave or black was caught with anything that could be used as a weapon, in the law, I used the
John Willis, right? Like now I remember. So, yeah, gun control's racist. People that don't understand that aren't paying attention. Regina saying, hey. Hola. Mike saying, out where I live, we have the Long Beach Grand Prix. Yeah, that's right by Knives' house. That's where I was driving around on the van with the van. Going all out, a couple 100 miles an hour. But there's only a couple of places in the country where I can go that fast in the van. So this is from Firearms Policy again, talking about somebody, I think in California, where she's over here saying co-authors legislation to strengthen gun safety laws in February of this year. And then on the other side, it's over here saying how she's driving around in a vehicle at double the legal limit for alcohol. And, she's over here suggesting that gun safety laws are the problem. Again, something like 500,000 deaths from tobacco, 100,000 deaths from alcohol. And where are those alcohol deaths coming from, right? Some of them are alcohol, drinking and driving, or drinking and driving. And something like 40,000 with guns. And of those 40,000, 30,000 of them are suicides. And they're going to suggest that guns are the problem. So guns are the distraction. The guns are the place they're able to fracture society because they've demonized and made guns into a vice. Therefore, in a lot of people's eyes, if you want a gun or if you have any interest in guns, it's like defending a vice. It's defending something that you don't need, that's harmful and potentially destructive to you and society. And often people who are addicts or people that are addicted to their vice won't see the damage to society. They'll only see their pleasure. And when they've demonized guns or marginalized guns and gun owners into that role, people in the middle who could care less one way or the other, who've never paid attention to guns are just a political bullet point, not, quote unquote, that's all they care about. They have no interest in the game. They win when they suggest that guns are this vice that you're defending your addiction to, while at the same time, in this case, gun policy is showing off the irony that she's driving around in public with under twice the legal limit for intoxication. Oh, you're less than 10 miles? I know exactly where you're at then. Let's see. We have the Dura Hill Climb. Oh, I can't play the music on this, but this is some guy, I'm assuming in China, I don't know. They pull out his contact lenses, and they got him in this contact lens solution over here, and then they show you what it looks like when you look through them. Boom, that's what it looks like when you look through those contact lenses. So now all the game pieces tell you what their points are, and all these cards kind of have a watermark on them to tell you what card it is. So it's just one of the ways people cheat, by using eyeballs. So Professor Yamane, he has his book done. Says it's done 9:44 p.m. 7 November 2023, and he's been archiving his I don't know, efforts to finish the book, his challenges to finish the book, and I guess now it's done. So he's found a publisher, and he had to wait for the last things to get figured out, and now I'm assuming that means it's off to be published. So we got roll call 219 helping out this little deer. I think this deer was fell down. It was sleeping, and roll call came over. He was hiking or something, and he came over and gave it some assistance. It's nice of him. He's a nice guy. A lot of people wouldn't even help a little deer like that was maybe knocked its head, and then he helped the deer to take its skin off. He was very nice of him. So speaking of taking the skin off, look at this guy. I don't know where this is. Somewhere. He's got something, maybe an antelope or a goat or something, and he's grabbing it from the loin, maybe. And I mean, I guess you could say precisely. I don't know what he's really doing there. Probably cutting the sinew, but he's essentially deboning the sides of whatever this critter is pretty flawlessly and like pretty efficiently. So whoever the dog is that's getting them bones when it's over is not happy with this guy. Like the guy's like, that dog is like, come on, man, leave me a little something on there. I couldn't tell at first what it was, and then I was like, oh, dang. I've seen people who knew what they were doing, but I've never seen anybody go this fast before. He may have left a little meat. Nope, that's the other side poking through. Yeah, this guy's pretty quick. He's probably done it a few times. That's my guess. He's probably done it like 6 or 7 times before this. That might have been gross. Don't look at that if you don't like gross things. I don't know what this is. I think this is some guy drives up in a motorcycle, and then the other guy, it's just over and over. So this guy drives up in a motorcycle. Dude jumps off the motorcycle with the chicken. Right? Here's the chicken. And then the other chicken's like, hot damn, look at that chicken. Runs over. And now this guy books out of there with both the chickens. I think that's some kind of chicken thievery. Sorry, Gizzard, but it had to be explained, or it had to be showed. All right, those last couple ones maybe had nothing to do with guns, but whatever. We're 2 hours in. So no extra charge for those. We'll kind of look back at the kind of stuff we've been looking at in the last week or so. And that's the goal, is to chat about the stuff that we've been paying attention to over on Instagram, which is just a different platform with a different group of people over there, and push it over here onto the YouTubes. And in the process, guess what? This creates a transcript on YouTube. All this turned into words, and all those turned into keywords. And I can take that, or the robots will take that. And now all this stuff that happened on Instagram as images is now on the internet as words. So essentially, I've made a book on tape for Instagram for the last 2 hours. And again, thanks to our Patreons that make it possible for me to put in this effort. Is it changing everything? No. Is it, accomplishing great tasks? Probably not. But if it's inspiring some folks, if it's getting some information out there, awesome. Like, this goes out live, goes out as a podcast. A bunch of people hear this stuff. But in reality, it's also creating that transcript. That transcript is being used to index and archive this. And again, get the stuff that we talked about that is of value, get that stuff, more instances on the internet. And those instances on the internet are the makeup of, that web, that, why we call it the World Wide Web. It's the what the logarithms read. It's what the computers use to determine. So it's got a couple of different purposes that we do this for. And at the same time, it keeps everybody current, hearing about this stuff from the people who only want to sell you something, the people that are only going to talk to you when it makes them a buck. It gets back and forth. It gets pretty frustrating to keep track of. So hopefully this is an alternative to that as well. With that, we'll wrap this one up. We'll, if you don't like the Instagram, you don't have to try it. Did we have a poll going? No, we were going to do a poll, and then my computer froze up, and I had to restart everything, and I don't think I ever started the poll again. And it's kind of just sitting there. What was the best thing on Instagram last week? Nobody really said. Gunswire saying roll call was like, I will hug him and squeeze him and love him, and then he squished the deer. Yeah, he just probably squished him like a thing of toothpaste. Didn't even realize. He loved that deer so much that he hugged him too much. So we didn't really have a pull. He got screwed out of a pull, but that's what happens. Next time we'll try to have a pull ready for you. Tomorrow we do our flashback. If you have any suggestions on what to have flashed back at you, feel free to let us know. Friday we do the same thing, except we look back at the week in YouTube for the same reasons. All right, with that, we'll wrap this one up. Tonight you're going to find the Gear Report is on. That's every Thursday. Yankee sometimes has me and Matt on. I don't think that's this week. Or no, wait, that's tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. Tonight you'll get Chris from the 740. I don't know if he's still out there or not. He often does a show on Wednesdays. And tonight we may or may not do a game show, some sort of online game night. So with that, we'll wrap this one up and throw a commercial up here for our store. Thanks to the people that buy stuff over there. Helps us keep the balls rolling. Is that the way I say it? Yeah. Keep the places online.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
His tongue's all dried out. This dog needs some water. He needs some water.